jemand sein Smartphone griffbereit?
Nee, kann ich
Ich schon mal anspruchsvoll heute.
Wenn du dann jetzt kurz rausgehst, also kein Echo kriegen und die Wiki-Seite von X2Go aufrufst.
Ist die URL?
Wiki-Go.
Anwitz.
Ich weiß nicht, wo ihr nichts Leute euch sonst so rumtreibt.
Was machen das jetzt?
Ich weiß nicht, was das ist. Ich sag, Echo wäre jetzt mal blöd. So, dann war das Grafik, habe ich jetzt noch da oben die Zeit. Okay, nichts zu tun. Also, wir streamen. All right. Hello and welcome everybody to X2Go, the Gathering 2024, aka Back to Life, Back to Reality. And let's start with a quick look at today's agenda. So we'll start off with X2Go's State of the Union address, and after that we'll have a 5-minute break. This year we will not have any other talks, presentations, except for my State of the Union address. Everything else is a brainstorming and or discussion session. The first one will be how to deal with the Wayland threat. The second one, after a short break, will be about the future of macOS build hosts regarding Apple Silicon. And the third one will be planning X2Go's Sovereign Tech Fund application. And after that, we will partially depart to Unperfect House for warm lunch, while I'll be going grocery shopping with Mihai. And the afternoon is available for coding sessions, Bird of a Feather meetings, etc. Lunch will be served at Unperfect House by 1300 hours, by which time I will sneak out to prepare dinner for everyone else. And yeah, during the day we'll have cold cuts available. And later in the evening, around 700 hours, dinner will be served. And we'll start invoicing everyone after dinner. And after that, until bedtime, we'll have another chance for Bird of Feather meetings, coding sessions, and so on. So here we go with the State of the Union address. I'm Stefan Bauer, the community manager and lead evangelist of X2Go. And X2Go The Gathering 2024 is our 13th annual X2Go community event. The 8th X2Go The Gathering, the first one was 10 years ago in October 2014. And this is the 5th time that we're gathering at Linuxhotel. And like 2020, we're definitely not having a new real-life attendance record, but at least we have more X2Go folks attending than back at X2Go Hacktrain 2013. So thank you to our sponsor, CFD Direct. They have kindly offered to provide us with a food budget of 300 euros. And given our number of participants, we'll be able to cover more than just yesterday's pizza with that. Sadly, nobody from CFD Direct could make it, as they are all busy getting their next release out. So good luck with that, and thank you for the sponsorship. Let's take a look at what's bothering us the most. The usual lack of volunteers and motivation. This is an ongoing issue since at least 2018 or so. But a new issue that has cropped up is funding cuts, both on the commercial and the non-profit side. I don't know if this is an effect from the pandemic, companies losing money and thus being unable to spend as much as before. Um, anyways, a lot of our past and future events are still not completely funded, and we're also seeing an increase in technical debt, so our infrastructure is basically rotting away. And the next big issue will be the Wayland adoption and X11 being phased out by some of the Linux distributions out there. Another big issue is what's bothering me in particular, and that's my personal situation. I have a vulnerable family member, and the situation is so bad that it is now affecting my job situation and thus mine and Mihai's income. And this means that the amount of money I and my company can put in the X2Go isn't as high as before, and also the amount of time I can dedicate to X2Go is no longer as big as before. Which means help is no longer merely wanted, but direly needed. X2Go needs funding, both by donations and by users contracting X2Go's commercial support companies. But also, X2Go and Orca need someone in charge that is both willing and able, time-wise and skill-wise, to lead the project. The consequence of that is that tomorrow I will be offering my resignation as the first chairman of Orca, in the hope that someone with more free time on their hands can step up. I will remain in office if no one else volunteers, but the consequences should be obvious to everyone. If the Orca members decide to vote me out, I will still try to help out on the X2Go evangelism front as time permits. So the occasional talk or staffing an X2Go booth somewhere should still be possible, though not as much as in the past. Yeah, that's the shitty situation that we're in. But now on to another topic, which is the review of events that we attended since X2Go the Spread 2023 and an outlook on events to come. So the event overview for 2024 starts with 4 virtual bug squashing parties that were hosted 1 week apart in January. Looking back at this, we have to admit that scheduling proved difficult and needs further work, but we may resume those virtual bug squashing parties already in July. The first real-life event of 2024 was Chemnitzer Linux-Tage, Linux Days Chemnitz. The booth was staffed by Yuri, Mihai, and me. We did not have a talk there, but we had a booth for 2 days, which was nice. And here's the next event we attended. That was in April, Linux Info Tag Augsburg, Linux Info Day Augsburg. Another booth staffed by Mihai and me. Again, no talk. They didn't accept our talk topic. In May, we would have liked to attend Hack for Glaus Summer, but we had a scheduling conflict because this was the Pentecost weekend. So sadly, we couldn't make it to that event. In June, basically just 1 week ago, we were at Tübix, a local Linux day in Tübingen, Germany. And this time we were officially invited back on their campus, so we did not need to place a tent outside their main entrance. The booth was staffed again by Mihai and me, with temporary support by Yuri and Naira. And this time we also had an X2Go talk. The next event is obviously X2Go The Gathering 2024, a hybrid event with 7 in-person attendees. And I hope that we have a working stream set up right now. And what's planned is in September, Kielux, a local Linux day in Kiel. But we will probably only be able to attend via stream, so there will be only a talk, if anything at all. Linux Day Austria, Dornbirn, also in September, where we have applied for a booth and a talk slot. And in November, Tux Days, a purely online event where we have also applied for talk slot. More future planned events are IT Congress at University of Neu-Ulm in Germany. We already have confirmation for the booth and the talk slot there, which is in November. And probably in November or December, we will have another purely virtual event, an X2Go The Spread 2024, which will coincide with Orca's annual meeting. For 2025, we have already been informed that Chemnitz Linuxtage will be scheduled from March 22nd to 23rd. They have not sent out a call for presentations, papers, booths, etc. And we also do not have any volunteers for this event yet. We expect Linux Info Day Augsburg, Tübingen, and probably a gathering and one the spread event during the course of 2025. What we have not seen this year is Pi and More / Pi and Radio. I have contacted them. They are working on assembling a new team of volunteers. So maybe they will return in 2025, maybe not. And Linuxwochen Wien, an event that we attended before the pandemic hit us. They have provided no feedback at all, so it seems their team has completely disbanded, which is really, really sad. Regarding X2Go together in 2025, if we do not have another pandemic situation, it will most likely take place at Linuxhotel again, and probably sometime in late second quarter or early third quarter of 2025. If we have another pandemic, be it COVID, whatever, or be it a new bird flu, then we will return to our online events. So X2Go The Spread sometime in the late third or early fourth quarter of 2025. And that's it with the event overview. A quick look again at what's to expect today. Like I said earlier, no more talks, just 3 rounds of brainstorming and discussion. Lunch, open coding, which includes bug squashing and some digital housekeeping and maintenance. And in the evening, dinner. What to expect tomorrow is our usual room cleaning rage at 8:30 to 9 a.m., which means all the blankets, duvet covers, whatever, need to be put in the bags in the hallway. And after that, we will have breakfast followed by our Orca Club meeting. And there will most likely not be any volunteers left for open coding afterwards, so around noon. But this is all depending on how long our meeting will take. But the option remains for any spontaneous volunteers, like if Naira, Yuri, Uli decide that they want to stay until like 1 or 2 p.m., they're free to do so, but we have to leave the premises by 2 p.m. Okay, that's all, folks. Thank you for your time. Any questions? Okay, so it is now 10:22. We'll have a roughly 5-minute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What does Wayland mean? I don't know.
Wayland is a successor to X11, but it is completely incompatible with it. So drawing icons on the screen, windows on the screen works completely different with it. And we need to look for some way to connect X2Go with Wayland instead of X11 if we want to stay relevant. Okay, so like I said, we'll do a quick break and probably start around, well, it says 5 minutes, but we'll probably start around 10:30, I'd say, with the brainstorming and discussion how to deal with the Wayland threat. All right, so our first brainstorming and discussion session of today is how to deal with the Wayland threat. Um, Various distributions and desktop environments are kicking out support for X11 either by making Wayland the default or by not installing X11 packages at all during the default install. More and more users are asking about Wayland support, and I noticed that some of you were already discussing some Wayland issues on Friday evening. I guess the main question is if we can swap out SSH-X and the NX libraries to something that consists out of Waypipe, which is Wayland's analog to SSH-X, and X2Go K-Drive. And if so, how can we do this? I believe that probably Mihai, Uli, and Yuri are most competent to answer those questions. So if you would like to step up and maybe continue your informal discussion from yesterday evening.
Well,
That was only the client side that we've talked about.
Well, that's still better than nothing.
Because X2Go client crashes currently when starting a session. Well, being started.
Would you mind stepping up over here for the microphone?
X2Go client crashes right now when starting a session with X2Go client started on Wayland, which is not
Okay.
supposed to happen.
Okay.
We've debugged this for a bit, and well, there's an easy workaround by forcing X2Go client to forcing Qt to actually use XCD as the random data, which fixes the issue. And you can either do this. Well, you can just force it by using a specific environment type. But how we're actually going to implement this, I'm not quite sure yet. Because I don't want to use a wrapper.
Yeah.
But it's probably
No, you-
possible to just hook it into X2Go client itself.
We have another seat over there for you if you want.
Because as far as I know, there's some other
So, ja, genau.
what?
Dann machen wir. Stimmpreis.
Okay, you want to be on the camera?
Ja, es geht um Mikrofon, das ist für uns wichtig.
No, you can be on camera.
Okay, and now I'm on camera. So, I think there are several Wayland-related issues that we have to face, and they are entirely different. So one is we want to use X2Go client as it is now and start an X-based session, but on a desktop that runs under Wayland. That is what you discussed yesterday. Then we have Wayland-based desktops that don't support X11 anymore. So like, I'm pretty sure GNOME will be at that point at some very soon. And we want to enable users to still use GNOME as a remote session, which you can do in K-Drive at the moment. Also, there are desktops that are Wayland only, like Lumiri, for example, which is the Ubuntu touch-driven service. So for Unity 8. And I'm not sure if Sway would be a candidate for being used in X2Go, the Sway filing window manager. So, but also that can't be used because we don't have they don't support X11 as an X server technology as graphical backend. So, and we don't support Wayland sessions being mediated for X2Go to some remote client. So, and And I think these are the two scenarios that we have to face. Really. And then we also have to differentiate regarding the remote sessions between, say, Windows support, so seamless integration of individual apps into a local desktop, remote apps into a local desktop. And currently, most apps still support running as X11 apps, so at least if they have been written against GTK or Qt. But that might change as well in the future. So that's actually a good question. Could WayPipe be used? So I took a quick glance because I have sort of lost track of the generic Wayland stuff, and I have been really diving into Mir Display Compositor for MIRI purposes recently, which is a different technology or a different implementation of the Wayland protocol. So with the quick research I just did is as well with WaveVNC, which is a VNC server for Wayland-based session, as well as with WavePipe. That won't work if you have an X11 on the client side, because Wayland expects, so these tools expect Wayland technology on the local desktop as well. So it's a bit like we need a huge matrix. What's running on the client, what is running on the server, what that can be used, and we need to provide different ways of plumbing things together to make this work for the user without the user needing all the knowledge about these technologies, which is a challenge. And the question is if that is also in the scope of X2Go, because then it is something else to go. X2Go.
Yeah, Wayland to go.
W2Go. So the question is for us here, are we a general remote desktop solution or remote application solution disregarding the technology being used by these applications and remote desktops? Or is that what we do? Is it X11? And then we run into the issues, what you described. Fedora kicking out X11 support entirely with this release, next release.
Yep,
I think this release. Huh?
I'm not really tracking Fedora releases, I must admit.
Yeah.
Do you keep track of Fedora releases? There was one that kicked out X11 support, or is supposed to kick out X11 support. Is this the current one or the upcoming one?
Yeah, it's something.
User will actually kick out X11 support. They just use Wayland.
They kicked out Xorg. Yeah, check that. So I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, and the truth is that no one really has started working on this seriously. Then we have, well, in this team here at least. Then we have another challenge, because most users coming from the Windows world expect that a remote desktop is access to the desktop you see when you log onto the machine locally. So in the Windows world, not at Windows Terminal server, but Windows Workstation world, you log into your system while sitting in front of the screen, and then you log your session, and then or someone else or you from a different machine connect to that via RDP, and then this session from the local screen gets transferred via RDP to a remote client. And you can have either the local session or the remote session or no session. So, and several of the Wayland remote desktop implementations are doing exactly that. So you have, for example, with GNOME remote desktop connections, you have if your GNOME desktop, you log into that locally, and then you can exactly attach to this exact desktop via RDP, which basically then lets the local session jump back to GDM while you take over the session with RDP, with the RDP client. And this is not what we do in X2Go, basically. It is one use case we have with desktop sharing approach, but what we do is we do headless sessions. So we do what you need for terminal services. And And from what I know, this is not what is happening for not happening in connections at least. So from what I read. Also for Lumiri, we have been discussing remote access, and we are actually discussing a project funding for this because we have several issues to cover. And one side effect could be that we provide a proof of concept of how to do an RDP or VNC or whatever connect to a Lumiri session, but also with the same usage approach of taking a running session from a local display and transferring that to a remote display. And also, so these implementations, as described, mimicking what is happening on a Windows workstation with RDP, is probably not what we want to implement in X2Go, because it could be handled by the desktop sharing approach in X2Go, but yeah. So there's a bit, I mean, as I said, we actually need a huge matrix of feature sets and what is working, what is not working, and do we want to provide that in X2Go, where X2Go would just be a wrapper around existing technologies like it is already now. So, yeah. So this is the question, basically. So what is this matrix, and what do we see as features for X2Go, right?
If you go back 20 years ago, the unique selling, or 15 years ago, the unique selling point of X2Go was to offer support for the NX components as the NX provider. X2Go existed, and the reason why X2Go started growing. Nowadays, this unique selling point is not relevant anymore, because already X2Go switches to K-Drive, which does not use that technology anymore. So I'd say X2Go first needs to define what it wants to be and what it doesn't want to be. And if there is anything we can say about X2Go that's unique, maybe we can even come to a point where we say there is no reason to further develop X2Go in any direction. Because it's just another solution, not adding anything to the mix.
Yeah.
But it's not really solutions to have no solutions.
I don't know. Maybe they are. Or maybe they are, but nobody uses them anymore for one or another reason. I don't know.
So the observation with remote desktop technology is that it has been increased for the past 5 to 10 years. Because local hardware is much cheaper and is graphically performant. And also, so for example, if you have this thin client terminal services approach, that was done because the machines running as thin clients were not really powerful and cheap. And nowadays, with the same price, you can buy machines that can run a full desktop locally and have 2.5 gigabit networking, and you can attach that to a very fast file server and run the whole thin client as a digital system, but not connecting to a remote terminal. So huge computation power, but the computation power is in the individual machine. So if you have like a classroom or a lab or so, it's not necessary anymore for normal desktop software to have this desktop running on a remote machine, where it is very useful if you have a special application that maybe you only want to install on one machine because of licensing issues or because it's difficult to maintain on several machines or whatever, then it makes sense to have one server in the middle and all these machines connected to that server. But then we are again more with an approach of a seamless application integration rather than the full desktop, because each individual machine in a lab or in a computer classroom is easily can be configured to be powerful enough to run the full desktop. So so the overall use case. Next is people working from remote. This is my main use case. So I have on different customer sites, I have X2Go deployed because I want to not do some SSH tunneling with source forwarding and whatnot, but I want to be on their side. I'd see a system or a desktop environment is most similar to what people see when they're logging in. So for road warriors, for home office workers, that could still be a use case, I think.
Nowadays, we have bring your own device trends in companies, yeah, and it's really a solution for such people. They have own notebook, and they can just use X2Go or something like that to go to the company infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
another use case.
let me just do one or two more points before I time's up. So first of all, this issue with client computers are becoming more powerful versus we have powerful hosts and clients. This is a pendulum that's going back and forth like every 5 to 10 years. So we can expect this to swing back. The other thing is, back at 2 weeks last week, I talked to one of the local guys from the university, and he confirmed that they are still active users actually go in their high performance computing cluster. So
Special applications.
yeah, but I wonder if maybe we should or we need to focus on such users, such customers to keep relevant.
Mm. Yeah, and with that in mind, the question is, if I'm not saying we should ignore that way itself, but it's really is a protocol not designed by default by itself for remote access, because the whole network layer has been taken out of it. So in Wayland is not like you have one X server, you have one Wayland server, and then on top of that you have all the graphical tools and stacks and components and middleware. But it is Wayland is always a compositor, so it's always an individual implementation per desktop environment. So there are some compositors that can be used for various desktop environments, but normally it's like the window manager of traditional X11 or the compositor, sometimes there as well. Then this directly is sitting on the hardware, so it's doing the it's rendering directly what the desktop environment is drawn. So the overall use case for this is acceleration of graphics on local hardware. So and all these remote approaches have been fiddled into that after the original use case was designed. So the overall question is, and then it's like you need the local hardware to run the display, and then you can actually connect to it from remote, as opposed to it runs in the frame buffer entirely, and you can connect to it from everywhere, and maybe even attach it to a local session. So, and the question for X2Go, in my opinion, is is it really meaningful for us to make ourselves headaches in implementing Wayland stuff that has been designed for local display and implement that in remote sessions? Or is it more like what of those features are quite interesting to us, like the waypipe, for example? I get that. So, and shouldn't we just focus on what we already can do quite good, which is support those desktops that are still X11 based or that support X11, support them really well without glitches, with good performance, be it on NX or be it on K drive, but have that really working well, and support it on clients that are Wayland, and support on clients that are X. So be agnostic there.
Okay, well, our time for this slot is up. I guess these are questions that we will have to think about. Camera is off.
Okay.
While the slides are showing, there's a camera. So we'll have a 5-minute break now and continue with the future of macOS build hosts. In, like I said, hopefully 5 minutes from now. And let's mute the mic once more.
And just support.
Okay, the microphone is hot once more, and we are moving on. Let me just get-
I agree. I agree. Totally.
All right, so our next brainstorming and discussion session is about to start. This is about the future of macOS build hosts, especially concerning Apple Silicon. How much work is needed? How much will it cost? And the short summary of this is a while ago, Apple switched hardware platforms once more. So from originally, what was it, Motorola to Intel, then from Intel to ARM64.
Power PC.
Right.
But I think that they use Motorola.
There was one.
That was right. That was what.
Power from Intel.
Well, if you go back, it started with X86, 68, X68,000 from Motorola.
The Atari ST.
Yeah, the ST and Mac.
So what we are talking about basically is the M1, M2, M whatever platform that Apple is now selling. And I think Mihai mentioned yesterday that current X2Go client for Yuri, the current X2Go client for macOS does work somehow magically via Rosetta. But we obviously will need native builds for Intel while still supported by Apple, plus for ARM64. So what are we going to do about this? How much is this going to cost us? That's something that we need to talk about, and probably Mihai, I guess you're the one that should know the most about this. Because you,
I know how much it would cost because I know where we get a bill. Is it
come over here. Come over here, please.
yeah, but I can't tell because I don't know
Maybe,
how much it will cost. How much? I mean, I don't even have hardware for that.
and that's the point.
It's not too expensive.
Right now, our build hosts are two virtual machines hosted in Switzerland. And the question is, what are we going to do in the future? Are we going to keep those for the Intel builds? Or is there a time in the foreseeable future that Intel will be discontinued anyway by Apple?
We don't need Intel machines to build ARM64 stuff. No, we don't need to build native builds. That is,
Okay.
You can cross compile on ARM64 machines for Intel CPUs as well.
So basically, we could ditch the Intel machines and get new ARM64 ones instead.
I guess.
But it's x86 on Intel. So no new Apple devices.
No. There will be no new Apple devices.
Yeah, but there is an existing user base, and the question is how long
Yeah.
will support this?
Well, not very long, obviously, because Apple only supports the last two operating system versions, essentially. And they probably, have they dropped Intel support yet? Or they would probably not yet.
Right now. I mean, we have something about 6 years, so that these devices are going
They
up
support
on
it.
the market.
Yeah, but Apple made the switch like 3 years ago, so in a few years, they'll be dead.
For the first time, it was a parallel that they have supported Intel and Apple Silicon.
Yeah.
We now have working Intel versions of the client.
Kind of.
They will
I mean,
migrate.
we don't have, we don't really have working versions currently because it's still using Q4, and it worked on old systems, but not on the newest versions. But
Also the newest version.
the
I
Q4
have
stuff.
tested.
Okay. Well, I don't want to use the Q4 stuff anyway, any longer, but I have two Mac machines, which are both 10 to 17 years old right now. I can't really use them anymore. I don't want to use them. And
Is this your personal machine or the virtual ones?
those are my personal machines.
Okay.
But I need my personal machines to develop stuff and do, yeah. And I don't see why I should buy a new ARM laptop or ARM MacBook for over €1,000.
Yeah. Nobody expects you to do this, especially not from your personal budget. That's not the point here. The point is we need to figure out what our upgrade path is. Like you said, we can make do with only ARM64 machines, and if you have to provide input. So the question is, do we need hardware, or are there already hosting offers that
I don't know.
for us? That's
Well,
something
this-
we have to research.
This no, how cloud stuff.
Flows, or-
Flows, yeah, because they do have another name, I guess. Oh no, they renamed themselves to Flows with something like that. Okay. Yeah.
So if you have some build infrastructure on
Yeah.
ARM64,
No,
No,
we
no,
don't have. We only have.
I started the sentence.
Okay. Yeah.
If you had
Yeah.
some environment to build ARM64 and Intel binaries,
Yeah.
you could do that, and
Yeah.
you could test the ARM64 version coming out of that build, and you could test the Intel version on
Yeah.
ARM64 via Rosetta. Could you
I
know that?
don't know.
But I think
No, I think it prefers the. I mean, you don't get two packages out of that. You only get one package, which includes both architectures fed binary. It's in one binary, basically. And if you include the native binary, you can't really use Rosetta with it, because it will always prefer the native binary.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's why I want to ask you. Do we need Intel hardware to test those binaries?
In
I
that
guess, but-
case, it might be a good idea to keep at least one of our current closest virtual machines, since
Is it-
they are virtual machines, and use them for testing instead of building.
I don't know.
The other option would be a real machine.
You're streaming right now.
Yeah. At least I hope so.
So I see there is this Linuxhotel, I'm not sure where they are. And they provide M2 systems.
That's virtual machines or remote access.
Yeah, I mean they have the picture of the Mac Mini here, so maybe it's Mac Minis all over the place, but
Last year on the Next Week Gathering, I was looking for such hosting solutions with M1 and M2, and I have provided a short list of such providers. Yes, but from the economical side,
The problem makes more sense to
it's-
buy hardware.
it's maybe better to buy small Mac Mini or something like that, or Mac
Host it at home,
that
basically.
at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
If we really want this, I can provide hosting space by me.
yeah, so I have Ocos here, and they €125 per month, and the Mini M2 costs like €1.2, €8. So
If
So
you
the
buy
thing is, we have a donation in the Orca budget for roughly €300, I believe. This was actually earmarked for the X2Go team for their ARM64 builds. And they have not used it so far. I think we could talk with them and ask them if we could cooperate on this. So we buy one ARM64 machine in the name of Orca, and both 3RP and X2Go use it.
yeah, but is it on their side? Is it ARM64 Midwest builds or ARM64
Free IT build. Linux.
Linux? Linux?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can't use you can't get them. You can get a Mac Mini M2 or M1 and put this Linux approach on it. the name of the project.
And there's no way to run a Linux inside macOS with some sort of
probably.
half decent performance.
Probably.
I have seen on eBay used machines for something about 800 euros. So
No, the thing is, we need to run this on a support version of macOS if this is something that has to happen on macOS directly. And
Apple is notorious for deprecating machines.
Yeah, so this might actually be the reason why renting a server might not be that bad of an idea, even if it seems to cost more at the beginning, because we would have to buy a new machine every 2 years to keep on the current macOS version, while the hosted one would always be upgraded to.
Yeah, but you could but if the hardware becomes deprecated, the Mac hardware you can keep the hardware, install a Linux on it at that point, and you have a fine ARM64 Linux machine, or test machine, or desktop machine, or assuming that the Linux ports will just say whatever drop is supposed the hardware.
Mac M1 machines have some security issues in the processor side. So maybe it would be better if we invest some money in this, which would take into
Okay.
Okay, so the idea here is start with the purchase machine, see how it goes, see whenever forces us to dump it, and at that point we consider if we buy a new one or if we then take your argumentation and say, we don't want to go that route and throw away our hardware in 2 years. That's just from then on rent. But then we have at least one machine that is that could be repurposed at that point. So I think that the first ARM64 M2 will not be lost.
But the question is, do we really want to buy an M2 then, or should we wait for like the next hardware generation release from Apple? I don't know if is M3 already out?
Yep.
So we should probably buy the newest generation.
Yeah, sure. I thought it was just M2 or M1. Release specs design. Let me see.
Well, Apple usually supports machines for like 6 to 7 years, basically. I mean, you can upgrade for
Yes,
about
and
6 to 7
4
years.
is scheduled for end of 2022,
25?
2024, and or beginning of 2024.
Yeah, but they start out.
No, the M4 is already in the Pro. iPad Pro.
Yeah, but
Minis.
Yeah, but it exists.
yeah.
That mini may not be released until.
And that was I just wanted to ask, is there a way to use an iPad for compilation?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but maybe there is.
I don't think so. No, you can compile for iPads on macOS, but not install and compile for macOS on iOS. Not the other way around.
Okay, so basically the idea would be to buy an M4 as soon as it comes out.
We can afford it, but if you afford it, you can tolerate the delay. Yeah.
But about budget, it's maybe really better to buy used M2 and use it 2 years.
Well, so the binary builds are compatible.
Yeah.
It's just about speed calls.
And no issues with the new macOS, like checking an application for older macOS? Like,
Sorry.
apparent macOS build goes, what's the new version of macOS that we on there?
I know 10, 12, or 13, something like that. I don't know if I can even upgrade it.
And that's my question. Like those builds, will they work on your Mac OS releases?
Not necessarily.
Right now it's working.
Okay, how about cross-component on Linux?
How about cross-compiling on Linux for Mac?
Just came from a project called OS Cross Mac OS X Cross 2J.
I will use that now. That sounds like a good idea.
Why not? It's the most cost-effective way if it works. But I don't know.
We cannot test it, but still.
And with DLD creation and everything.
Yeah, but I don't know. I won't use that.
I mean, that could also be, buy the hardware, get it running on M2, and test that in parallel, and that prevents us from running stuff after the hardware becomes everything. And give maybe this also needs more time.
Where's the X-Cross?
So by the point, say, I mean, if the outcome works, it doesn't really matter if it's built a chunk. It doesn't matter either way.
We also simplify CI/CD.
Yeah.
What's the ICD?
You could simplify CI/CD. You could all compile stuff in one environment. You could use MXE for the Windows build, and this one for the macOS build, and the native Linux build, all on the same machine.
But still, you would need one machine for testing.
Yeah.
So
Or we
why?
do it like Microsoft and let the users test.
Catch as well comes.
But about testing, maybe I can ask some people that have such hardware just for testing. But yeah,
It's always good to have someone who knows the software
Yeah.
well to test the software.
of course.
And then they can still test it, and if they stumble across stuff like we did. Because if you know our software too well, you also test only where you know it, and not in with the dark click part. Sort of.
The last commit was 2 days ago, so that's a
Oh, and
live project.
it's dead then. That's long ago. Wow, 2 days. Yeah, is that a different plan then? Buy the machine,
I don't like that now.
use it for building, in parallel set up a OS X cross. See if the build results are similar, if they are.
Well, we do have a lot of dependencies that you have to think about, to consider. We do need to bundle Qt, we do need to bundle Pulse Audio, and we also need to make sure that this is deployed in a safe way. Which-
Yeah. But if say we could create a build chain that
Change
I mean,
root, macOS.
do we want to rebuild Qt? We probably don't.
Well, we do have to, yeah, kinda. I mean, we do have to ship it in the first place.
Yeah, and
You have
link
to
against
bundle and ship it, yeah,
it, and link against it.
and link against it.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, we don't have to rebuild it, but
the idea was because our model have the downside of shipping old, not physical components.
Mhm.
So there's CVE for both audio, there's like 2 years of cars.
Mhm.
So with but that could also be handled on the way that we actually get all these components as snapshots from it, as it's released, whatever. And build them. I'm simply imagining that the whole thing, setting up the whole thing would be much easier scripted based on the Windows machine. I mean, it has just I'm not screwing it.
I mean, it's right now not really a critical selling point because Intel builds are working right now. So maybe we can talk about it in 1 year.
No. Right now, to be exact, 4 years.
Okay. All right.
I'd say let's get one of those devices. Be the first, use one.
Okay.
We have something in our hands.
Sadly, our time's up for this slot. We'll take a 5-minute break and then continue with the last game we discussed slot of the day. This will be 40 minutes long, and this will be all X2Go Sonic Tech Hunt application as well as the other applications. See you in 5 minutes. Okay, so the mic is on and here we go. So our last discussion and brainstorming slot of today, planning X2Go sovereign tech fund application as well as other applications. So there's a German fund that's called the Sovereign Tech Fund, and it has recently opened up for new applications again. So we should have a look at the application requirements, which I'll show in the next slide, and they're also available online. And they have a new current minimum. So I think they used to be at 150,000 euros, and now they have reduced it to 50,000. And the catch is,
Do they have a maximum?
I'm not quite sure yet. The catch is more on these two items here. The first one is that they say, we are currently not looking for user-facing applications such as messaging apps or file storage services. So the question is, can we formulate our application in some way that it shows that we're focusing on a back-end work, or is it a lost cause? And the other one is that they provide examples like libraries for programming languages, package managers, open implementation communication protocols, administration tools for developers, digital encryption technologies, and more. So if we want to apply there, we will have to find a way to twist and turn our application so it matches their funding goals. So our task for this slot is identify our most pressing needs and attach price tags to them and sum them up to see if we can get above the 50,000 euro limit. And also keep in mind what I said before about those scopes of this fund. And
Go back and show the scopes again.
one moment, I would like to go forward one more slide and then we can go back, because there was also another fund that we looked at. This was the Open Tech Sustainability Fund, and for that we would also have had to answer the question: do we already qualify, and if not, what could we do to qualify in the future? But just as I looked again on their webpage this morning, they are no longer accepting new applications for the Sustainability Fund, but they also have a Security Lab Fund. That's something that we might have a look at as well.
That's nice.
And now back to the slide that Miha requested.
No, can you forward me?
What?
I would like to from your.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll also stop the screen sharing now and go back to video mode.
Okay. Shall we use the footer?
Oh, sure.
You have.
I think so. The problem is I can't film the tip chart where it is right now. We probably have to move somewhere where we lighting. Because the sun is coming straight from there. It's overexposing camera. This should work.
Is it okay with the back
I would hope so.
light?
Hands should be here. Ah, okay. Let me just check if the video is clear enough. Do we need to move the camera any closer?
You can't really see it properly.
Maybe closer.
My body is bad anyway, so. Okay, so
You know,
regarding backends,
let's turn it this way.
so let me just select the backends that we have. So the two graphical backends that we have at the moment, these are certainly backends. Then we have the whole broker stuff.
Mike, we can't see through you.
Yeah, but I can't write without standing in front of it. Let me just look over here. Do we have no backends really? Next to go. I mean, we have the whole server part. It's sort of a middleware, I call it. Plumbing middleware.
And that was the idea in overhead, because they say that they're not funding user-facing applications. X2Go client would probably be considered a user-facing application, but the server is only passing through other applications.
Wasn't library includes libraries for programming language now? Yeah, package managers, application protocols. So, I mean, well, communication in terms of people communicating with one another, I guess, not machines communicating with one another.
Communication protocols.
Yeah, but what is this communication? Is it like matrix and like whatever, chat, Java, for people, facilitating people to communicate, or is it machines that communicate? I guess that's okay. Let's know. Tools for developers, administration tools for developers, digital encryption technologies.
Encryption technologies could be a point where we could fund LibSSH with.
Don't think of
That's not LibSSH. It's open.
Yes. Yes.
But X2Go is administration tool for developers. I mean,
Well, it can be, right?
Yeah.
But obviously they've already denied our request for X2Go.
what?
They denied our request for X2Go as a whole, or didn't they?
No, this is a sovereign tech fund. We never applied them, because the last time we tried, they were already closed some applications. We applied for another fund,
Yeah.
twice with the Grenophone and once with X2Go, and they denied us, but we have never ever applied for the sovereign tech fund.
So, but what are administration tools for developers? So, what's the first thing that comes up when you think about that? Because I'm not getting an idea what they actually mean here.
IDEs?
Yes, but administrators,
I mean,
is it more like Docker Compose and stuff like that? Yeah, firing up test environments and automate
also,
stuff.
continuous integration.
Yeah, stuff like that. Okay. This is okay. That's not where X2Go really is. I mean, I know that. So there was this French, the French guy with the Arab name.
Valid?
Yeah, there was one, and they used X2 for the development environments. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let me know if you have more ideas. But I think that with these areas, I don't qualify for any of those points, for some of those points. And I totally agree with me about live open state. So context. The overall idea is, at the moment, we have one X2Go client. And
Actually, we have three. X2Go client, we have five.
yeah, but let me just. Yeah, we have.
And four.
Well, we have. Let me limit it to the X2Go client implementations. We have two. We have Python and X2Go, and we have X2Go client written in Qt. And the design flow of the X2Go client in Qt is that the X2Go logic and the UI It's one software. And you can't rip out the X2Go logic and write a new client. You have to rewrite everything, which makes it quite hard, actually. Because whenever you change then stuff in the X2Go logic, you have to change it in two clients or in two programs.
I remember something. Years ago, you said that the SSH implementation in Python was that slow compared to Linuxhotel. So are they actually in the library for programming languages?
That's what well, I actually went for the encryption technology thing, but it's also a library.
Yeah. So libopenSSH could fulfill two use cases. It could become no, the other way around. So let me continue with X2Go client and I'll get back now. So X2Go client is sort of one big monolith, one big stone, and everything is in it. So we had the idea some years ago already to actually rip out the X2Go logic out of X2Go client and provide that as a standalone shared library that can be used by any other desktop client, for example, Remina, and do it in a language that is that doesn't have any query entry. It doesn't need the QD framework. It's a C and it's a C library. So
with glib, but
yeah, it's C with glib, but that's okay. Is it object oriented glib? Yeah, we did. So a common programming technique that is used by many other shared libraries in modern desktop. So the advantage there would then be if we have this libx2go client. And libx2go client, so X2Go is doing SSH under the bonnet. So libx2go client has to do SSH calls. And we then, again, I discussed and work on that. Was a paid project actually. Yeah. Work on that.
Ran out of funding, I think so.
So he then actually took the SSH part out of libx2go client and outsourced it into libopenSSH.
Not really. We still call it.
Yeah, it's the idea.
But essentially, it's only OpenSSH wrapper.
Yeah. So why libopenSSH? Why actually OpenSSH like also started taking part of the code out of OpenSSH into a libopenSSH. So there's some work happening there actually.
But I thought that never actually came to fruition. But turn OpenSSH into a library. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's details. Let's deal with the latter aspect of it. So and why OpenSSH? Because we have libSSH or libSSH2, I think it is. libSSH.
It's a different project that has nothing to do with.
And the downside of libSSH is it doesn't have Kerberos support, which is a
also. I mean, there are multiple aspects for it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't support a lot of features that OpenSSH supports, including data support, but also
config files support is only partially implemented.
Yeah.
Well, whatever libSSH supports from reading the config file, I don't even think that it can use stuff like jump hosts or something like that. It doesn't support it at all. You can build it like we did in X2Go client by first connecting to the jump host and then doing another tunnel to your actual target. But libSSH itself is not supporting that out of the box. And we've always had problems with encryption types, for instance, key exchange algorithms.
And the point is that because of the Kerberos or GSS API support in libSSH, Alex has two footpaths, one for with Kerberos, one without Kerberos. So
and the Kerberos that's uses
OpenSSH. Exactly. So if we had a libopenSSH wrapper or however that would be called, we could just have this one thing. And so the overall is to have one shared library that could be, when it's done or available, that could be used now in X2Go client as it is now. So it's not something that has to, linger around until we have an X2Go client. It could be used whenever this is usable.
Yeah, but we
Yeah,
need
in
to
theory.
rewrite.
Yeah. Sure. In theory. But the long-term goal would then be to actually have this Linuxhotel client with libmessage. So these two, and then that could be used natively in Remina, for example. It could be used via Python bindings in Python. So it could be used in X2Go client, of course.
And libopenSSH itself can be used by other parties too.
And it could be used by anyone. LibSSH and
OpenSSH.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through libx2go client.
Yeah, sure. It's dependent on OpenSSH library. So this is actually something that could be put into a proposal or application pretty well, I think. And it comes in here. Libraries for programming languages. And digital encryption technologies.
Yeah. And open implementation of communication.
If you consider a communication of machines as a valid communication. Yeah, indeed. So I think that qualifies. Stefan.
Okay. I think I had a few more items on my list.
Yeah.
That I might want to look at. I just need to find it. The problem here is that I can't access my work email from this machine while it's presenting.
Then
So
stop presenting for a second, please.
No, then that will kill the stream as well.
So, okay.
So I need to check this on my mobile.
I was researching right now for OpenSSH. It looks like it exists under OpenSSH project.
But the
And
last
it's
commit was 12 years ago.
It's don't matter because SSH as client it has a stable API, stable options. Yes, it was not changed, not really changed since 10 years. It comes some options to this, something like jump host and another.
But is it?
But it's all in OpenSSH. Yes.
Yeah. So it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
It looks like
Yeah. So
and it's written in C.
yeah, which is good. Yeah. So, but as far as I know, that happened. You say it's more than 10 years old, the last commit?
Yes.
Or then it wasn't packaged. It was. I think that the packaging changed in Debian at least. I have to recheck, but I have a slight remembrance of libopenSSH being linked statically into OpenSSH at the time. And at some point, I suddenly saw that there was a libopenSSH.so file in the package. So maybe they changed linking to dynamic linking recently. Yeah. So let's recheck that. But definitely, maybe our approach wrapping around OpenSSH is not the right solution. We should either extend libopenSSH because it's probably quite hard to have a stable library that hasn't changed for the last 10 years to actually say, we are funding, I would like to work on that because we'll break the ecosystem or we risk breaking it.
We just talk in the evening together with Kule about maybe they can just use OpenSSH client natively in X2Go client or Python and just run, just use SSH.
The idea was that there is a SSH binary on Linux, on Windows, and on Mac OS nowadays. So we could simply try to call that one instead of doing all the effort of providing more or less complete library for all that stuff.
Actually, I think the code name for it was, or the proof of concept name was the book message wrapper in fact. So that was the whole idea, I think, when we started with it.
That's what we used. Actually, only
But-
background of
Yeah, but then again, you would have designed an API
Yeah.
to access the library and provide all the features you need. It might be simply call SSH at the point where you need it.
And I get the portability aspect of that. Yeah, because you have the OpenSSH client and X2Go everywhere, and it's sort of everywhere the same.
Yeah.
Like, even on Windows, you have a native feed these days. Yeah, so okay.
Okay, so
But it doesn't change the story basically, because then we can have 5 bindings, we can use that in other libraries into relation with the X2Go. Okay, what your list? So,
yeah, I guess we should start a negotiable paper file because it might get just a bit longer than was available on this sheet.
Okay.
So points that I had noted before, when the limit was still 150,000, we were trying to get over that.
So I think 50,000 is not a lot. If you have professional developers working on something, 50,000 can be burned in 2 months.
Absolutely. But like I said before, it was 150,000, so we were trying to gather items to add to the list to have each other. And one item was saying two-factor authentication of HTML5 line. But I don't know if we can make it in there somehow, but that's one point. Two-factor authentication for HTML5 line.
Yeah.
5,000 to 6,000 euros.
Let's leave the numbers out for now.
Security audit for HTML5 client. Pre-audit code cleanup for HTML5 client. Plus fixes for any bugs found in the audit.
So this is all. Yeah.
And getting HTML5 client package for release, not just a night ago. And the next item would be a macOS.
Right. Second.
So this is HTML5 client.
Yeah.
One block of part. The next block is macOS. Paper support for macOS client.
That's backend. That's good.
And the number here is actually 16,000 to 18,000 euros, which sounds incredibly high, but the idea behind was to set up something sustainable. So not just a one-off shot getting equipment, but to have a build infrastructure in place with automatic nightly builds, Apple Silicon support, and all that. So this would mean a complete upgrade of the infrastructure side, with the side effect of supporting K5 on macOS based on. And the focus here is sustainability. So not just a single one-shot week of money into this and get an executable out of it, but something that lasts for a while. And the same points can basically be made for the Windows client. Because while we do have K5 support for Windows at the moment, it is considered beta, it is not official release. It was a one-shot action.
Okay.
And of course, that's what we discussed earlier, but we have to decide on the way we want to go is support.
whatever form.
Back in the first.
Just some points. We should not forget native B6 support.
Oh.
Oh, good point indeed.
Not really for IPv6.
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't have.
I mean, it's all over those. So
Well, yeah, because we only use it via tunnels mostly, but yeah, okay. But Kindle also didn't use that piece. Because Kindle.
well, they also. I know they actually used, but they didn't contribute IPv6 yet. But they on private networks wasn't. So maybe that's one. So I have another thing which is it's a mix of back end and front end, and here it overlaps Kindle. But so what I would really like to see at someday, before I leave this planet, is that we have a broker that is configurable through the web. So you can add sessions for certain user groups. You can redefine session types and everything. You can view active sessions or disconnect sessions, suspended sessions, stuff like that. So in combination with, you can launch a session, mediate it through the broker on some terminal server. So a full stack of remote desktop in the web. So with management and with user. So this is not, and yeah, you could say this would be a cool administration environment for developers because you can fire up your target environment. And that could also be a Windows machine, for example. Do we have remote access to macOS? I mean, we have this RDP support. We can do VNC.
Well,
I mean,
Yeah.
we do not have VNC support in the X2Go side at the moment, the way RDP support is doing.
Yeah.
But it should be possible to that.
Actually, I once worked on a proof of concept for VNC in X2Go server. So as an alternative to Kate or Linux.
One more point. RDP support is currently, the native RDP support X2Go is currently limited to other spots, only the old RDP versions.
In X2Go server.
Yeah.
So,
X2Go client, no, X2Go client can be used as a front end for RDP, as well as free RDP. But if you run RDP tunnel X, then we are currently limited to our desktop on the server side. And that's actually something where we could upgrade the code to really support free RDP.
Yeah. I agree.
free.
Do me a favor, make it a little bit more explicit free RDP instead of frankly, we do have RDP support, but
one point more on the another slide. We write two-factor authentication. I mean, it's may be better to write single sign-on because in single sign-on setup you can integrate multi-factor authentication for such stuff.
basically passport, right? PAS plus style authentication.
No.
This
And
this is good. So you authenticate. So what you do in this is also a bit about this HTML client brokerage combined. So what you do here, you do an authentication and you send the password over to the X2Go server to a PAM authentication against the X2Go server and get back the result. This is, I'd say, broken design a little bit because you send your password over the wire to a remote server and get back the response. Instead, we could have a web front end with the proper authentication mechanism, where the password stays in your browser, and it's not in the browser. It goes to the web server who does the authentication for you. But then you're authenticated against the web interface. Then you're entitled to start X2Go sessions, and the web tool will see that you have credentials on the X2Go server. So which is then what
tokens that the server sends back.
yeah, something exactly. The web interface says, I want to launch a session here, tells the broker, please deploy an SSH key, SSH key to that server, launch the session, remove the SSH key again, and so on and so on. And then you could have, indeed, this is not to the HTML client directly, but then you could have some mechanism here, a web UI plus broker, and this can be hooked into, for example, OpenID Connect, XAML or whatever, you know. Yeah. So
back in the days, in the dark ages, there was this thing called servers that used secret authentication.
yeah, but
Is this something that
it could be another mechanism here to authenticate against the web interface. So it's not used regularly.
sometimes we authenticate against web interface instead of deploying temporary SSH keys or something like that?
I'm not sure if you can forward that ticket from the browser.
Yes. On some camera setups, I have a key lock, so that log in, you give your credentials, you log in into a camera server.
Web via keylog.
No.
No.
Directly with N.
Yeah, log in on the machine where you're sitting in front of.
Yes. The second one, the second path, you log into your browser, and camera's keys are going to the key block. So you authenticate on the key block, and so it's going back to the backend. So you can authenticate every single site on.
Yes. So you get an authenticated keylog, but can keylog then forward your Kerberos ticket to services you want to use?
Not really.
Or is it then the keylog token that you have?
It's key for token.
Yeah. So the Kerberos token at some point will get lost or not forwarded to any other service, but you use it to get the first service, and then the first service will see that you have enough access to the following services. So that's the idea I have of the Kerberos design as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have enough knowledge of that. So what was it? Oh yeah. So what? There's another thing. Was in the sign on YouTube. Forget on this list. Yeah. So I know. At least one customer has that on the university campus, and actually across all universities they use it. So
a single SAML PHP with OpenID Connect, but again, it's another solution. Yes, it's included in Debian.
Yeah. So the question is does that for any here? But we could do a lot of research. We could spend a lot of time on these things. This is everything here. The question is, who is a possible entity to fund it or to pay it because they want it?
But
is it something that others don't have yet?
we don't have to find an entity if we can get the funding.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
The question is any point on to slice of paper that we have here suitable for our scientific application, and how much money
Yeah.
we allocate to it?
So
And the thing is, we have only maybe 5 minutes left of this.
Yeah, okay. So when writing it, and please critique me or have a veto, I thought this doesn't qualify. Because it's not development, it's housekeeping.
Okay.
So
You will need to take a closer look at housekeeping will actually be covered.
yes. So but that is sort of why libraries for so this all sounds like programming projects and not like setting up a new CI/CD and whatever. So
I written OpenID. It's complete OpenID connect. Or it's more complete form.
to
If there's a replacement for some
No.
okay,
OpenID connect.
connect, yeah. So which is
ID connect. It's combination of OpenID.
so let's go. So I'd like to see everything about HTML client be qualifying. Yes. I really like that. So black and so what generally qualifies is this one.
Okay, you're different colors.
Yeah.
SP. I guess.
Nicht, ja. Yeah, you're right. It was okay. It was the other one. Never mind. Well, and so where I think that the administration tools for developers comes in this year. So firing up a container with your software in it that you can launch and connect to my remote in your web browser. And this is a story you have to write. So how could a developer be? How could it be useful to a developer? How could a developer use remote desktop? We actually have this. So in this one customer where I do this enterprise desktop development, I would love to have a one-to-one representation of the desktop on a cloud server. And instead of sending them images, like gigabytes of images, which fail to transfer to the party software provider, I would like to give them just access to these machines. And then they are on some operating system, not necessarily Linux. And so it'd be cool to just say, yeah, you go to your web browser, log in, and then you're done. You can test your software and deploy it there. And so we could make a huge story out of the HTML client with your things on the second. Yeah, administration tools.
I take a wrap up of my point of view because I'm giving knowledge on this team test. But maybe tell how we now international flow that how it is all that the audit that I process is open. And the other one.
Everything that OpenID connects.
That is running
You can do.
on top of
Yeah.
And when you do some authenticates, there's an authentication session key. I feed it in the password. Click X2Go. And we authenticate by using PAN. In SSH against the APS.
So you have to come OpenID.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. And this would be a replacement of that number field password. Not sure.
Oh, that's actually
It integrates X2Go and networks.
So any X2Go server is hooked to the OpenID Connect server.
Yes,
You can verify the session string.
Maybe we use OpenID server authentication. This is only the authorization of X2Go.
Yeah.
Authentication and authorization are different.
Yes. Yes.
And this is only authorization because user is authenticated or it's only when he only get
How is the user authenticated?
factors. And
Okay, so the first initial
Yes,
login.
initial.
Okay.
it is materialized in .token key,
Yeah.
which is the type. No, you have to do it because that and the browser and X2Go.
Okay, so you have, the difference is that you have home ID. So and you pump the session key into X2Go client transport field. And does the user have to do that? Back copy paste or something?
Can be copied. It's also anyway here is the responsibility for it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of based.
And would it be helpful for you to have everything running in web time?
Yes, and then it will be easy to serve all because the big and what is not some recent part of the so that I do as an installer package.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was in browser. It's okay.
And this is basically that. This is the idea of this.
Yes, yes, that sounds great.
So that's infrastructure isn't actually limited to the browser. I mean, it's basically like which you can take and use wherever you want. Right? It's not browser based. Right?
Yeah, the idea is that so also the X2Go plugin, but that sort of didn't do it 100%. The idea is that any user with a modern browser can run a session. And not with the middle front we have now, but embedded something that is really cool. Like,
So, Mike, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
We're staying on the second sheet of paper. We'd like Martin Reynolds to
but basically, I would like to mark this in red. And but though I'd like to exclude this, I don't think that back fixing and cleanup is a good idea for the proposal. So I would like to exclude that and do it inherently.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, you work on the code, so you find bugs, you fix them. Yeah, but that shouldn't be in the text.
Okay.
And but the security audit, I mean, half of it, because I also think that a security audit doesn't qualify either.
Okay, we'll have to take
But it's a bit like when you work on that, you have to look at it. And Alex has.
no, this is an external security aspect. No X2Go team member
Yeah.
would be part of it always. There's an external company.
Yeah, so I say, I mean, so me and I are both external to Asian account because we haven't written it. So at some point we can do a little bit of internal auditing, but I agree with you that someone from totally outside should take a look. But I think, well, if you get into the story for the proposal, I'm not sure.
So the thing is, there's one company that has contacted me. They already found one RCE bug in HTML5.
What?
Not code diffusion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's why we have this brief right morning on the HTML5 notification at the moment.
Okay.
That's stable in the sense that it doesn't track on you, but not production ready yet.
Yeah.
And they have offered to do it commercially for the price that I have. Or to
What was the price?
I'm going to check it again. About 8,000 euros.
Yeah.
But they also offer to do it for free if you can advertise it. So we really can't have all the HTML5
Sure.
But the catch on that is they will do on their own time. Well, if you pay for it, you have like a fixed amount.
Yeah, but I mean, things take time anyway. So I would definitely
Yeah, but we have a critical task here, so we can't really start working on this if we don't know what our lives are. And the bus will be probably part of this audit.
I agree. But so let me propose something. We tell them now, please start.
Okay.
So which is really nice, as soon as possible. And we write the story for the patient.
Okay.
If we don't get sponsoring, this is in our drawer, and we can sort of work on it in spare time or try another round of funding, application, whatever. But if we get this 50, I would like to blow up 50,000, 250,000, which is a nice number, I guess, and more feasible. Really, if we get that, then let's set up a database project for this.
Okay.
We could also do now already, and when this comes into being, a software GmbH will transfer some amount of this, like 2,000 or so, into the crowdfunding pot.
Nice.
So we can. So if it becomes time critical, I won't. For software, I won't be able to cover it all, but it's still part.
Okay, cool.
So and this becomes product, and which is then at software GmbH also something, and also your business.
Okay, so like I said, we have time for today. Marty, Yuri, Maria, and we will be ready for the breakfast for our lunch. We'll start streaming in a moment. Let me just say an official goodbye. Let's set the slide. There we go. So, I guess these are topics that might have to continue after lunch. Probably some cluster that builds around Mike. Any questions before you leave?
Question is all the House really strict on time?
Well, I reserved the table for 700 hours. I do not know what happens if we arrive too late.
So if you don't feel like having a second breakfast or whatever,
Well, oh, no,
we could try to call them and say it's okay if they come an hour later or so.
we could try that.
Yeah. So we can be flexible on this.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Okay. So let's just stop the streaming.